Okay. Shalom, shalom.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very interesting morning. About Abba showing me stuff. Now I'm trying to remember what it was.
Yeah.
What has he been teaching you today? Maybe it's something you to do to talk me.
Well, it's mostly been from the video we've been listening to.
So what'd you learn?
How powerful the will is.
The will?
And focusing your mind on what matters right now. Because your mind, just focuses on whatever you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on something wrong, then it's going to stay on that. And then if you don't, then it's not going to be focusing on that.
And what do you think the will is? I mean, how do you work the will? How does that?
What do you mean? It's the will. It's...
I kind of see it as Satan is our will.
I think Satan would be your impulses.
Definitely, it's your will, what you want instead of what Abba wants. That's the whole test that he's been showing me. We literally have to go through our fears with him.
Mm-hmm.
People are not going to want to hear that message, are they?
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked to see we got no more forks.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see that. So the will that I see is our will be done versus others' will, or his will. That's why Yeshua said he didn't want to go. But what did he say at the end? Your will be done. And I believe the Father, for the most part, was with him until, why hast thou forsaken me?
Mm-hmm.
Because he had to be separated from the Father to take on our sin. That was the whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the sad part of it.
Yeah.
So what is he teaching you? How do you control the will?
By knowing what a given action will lead to, and therefore changing your direction according to that. Like if I know I'm going to do something that I don't want to do, or that's going to cause me to do something I don't want to do, then I avoid that initial reaction that will lead to that eventually, and then you do that something else that will lead you someplace else, even if you don't know exactly what it will go to. At least it's not taking down that path that's going to lead you there.
And how many times have you tried to do it?
A lot, because the hardest point is in that moment you really want that one thing, and then you go down that path, and then you kind of lose sight of everything else around it as to why you're not supposed to take that in the first place. So you can think about that initially, but it doesn't mean you're going to be feeling the same thing when you're in that state, because your state of mind changes and you desire different things in that moment.
Right. And so how do you change that path? How do you change that whole...
By making a different decision.
By just derailing it, literally. Because
Mm-hmm.
it seems like in your brain, you start making a path, it's just going to keep going there because it has no other... It's like, it's autonomic by now.
Yeah, it's like when it's like walking through a forest, and the more you walk around a certain path, the deeper the path becomes, and the more easy it is to fall through that path. And that's why habits are so hard to break, because you've already created those paths in your brain to take that route instead of something else. So you have to intentionally take a rough route instead of the easy one, and it continues to be rough until that easy route becomes the hard route, and the hard route becomes the easy route.
And how does the easy route become the hard route?
Over time, when you become more used to the hard route than the easy one.
How could you relate this to the story where he had me climb up that hill up there? Way back, actually. There's another mountain beyond that. And there was a road at one time, but the landslide and some other stuff and fire and stuff. But can you tell me what happens when you don't start going over the trail?
When you don't start going.
Yeah, I mean when you don't keep walking on a trail, what happens to the trail?
It goes away.
it goes over. It gets overgrown, doesn't it, by weeds and things.
That's why you need to stay in certain habits to keep them fresh.
And Abbas told us, he goes, go up the old ways. He actually told us to look up the old ways. It's another road for the old road in a sense too. But that's when he had me go up there. He told me I was going up Zion, and I'm like, what good is Zion if it's hell? He's like, that's because the weeds. You have to overturn it now, because the weeds have overcome. Because people don't come. You know what I mean? And so we're doing that. We're breaking through all this energy, all this spiritual realm stuff, opening portals in the heavens to get to him. And it's like it's been literally forgotten about. And when you see me doing things with my hands and all this stuff, you know what I'm doing actually? What do you think?
Moving the spirit around.
Moving energy, yeah, most definitely. It's the hands of the sword of the spirit. But what do you think is the Bible verse is talking about? What do you think it means when the virgins wake up and she starts trimming her lampstand?
Trimming off the leaven that grows on the outside and cut off the pride.
Yeah, but as we do that, we get more light. And as we do that, we get into our gifts. You know what I mean? And that's my gift. I feel his energy. I feel his power coming into me. And I let my hands move the way they want to move. And they do. And they're doing things in the spirit realm. Trimming my lampstand. People are so fooled by the Rockefeller foundations that trained them. You know what I mean? To believe whatever it is that they want them to believe. This is an old thing. Satan's had control. And you know what? It was to build everything. It had to be built by ego. People won't build it for another. They won't just build it for the Father. Why do you think Ephraim left home? Say the prodigal son, being Ephraim.
Where did he leave?
Why did he leave?
Because he wanted his own.
He wanted to do his own thing, huh? He wanted to be his own God. Okay. I don't know what's going on here.
Tooth's hurting again.
Yeah, but it's still touching sometimes, and I don't get what it's doing. He just grinded it down.
Touching what?
The upper tooth. My teeth are moving or something. And it jams.
Like when you bite down your...
Yeah, or my jaw's moving and it's closing differently, and this is probably more like it. Which is an EDS thing, but so anyway, so where were we?
With the prodigal son.
Prodigal son. He left the father because he wanted to do his own thing. That was the prodigal son thing. No, it's a whole Satan thing. It comes down to it. He wanted to have his heights above the Father. So what else would you learn? So you get that there's your will and then there's somebody else's will, right? And there's no greater love than to what?
To lay your life down.
Yeah.
My friend.
And what he's asking us to do is to lay our life down to build his kingdom instead of our own. See, the children should be desiring the dreams of the fathers, because then that's how it's built. Because then those kids acquire everything the father had, and then it's a tribal thing. You know what I mean? And it just keeps learning and learning, and then you have your gifts. Does that make sense? And you change your thing. But ultimately, our tribes stay the same gifting kind of thing. It's not built to be in Babylonian bricks like Babylon has created us to be. Just so you know that whole white picket fence and, have a wife and 2.3 kids and all that, and a dog, and it's not all what it's cracked up to be. Huh?
How?
Oh, it's nothing but trouble. Are you kidding me? You have any idea what it's like to keep up with the Joneses? That's what all of that world is. I was just talking last night with a friend that her uncle was so wealthy. I mean, like that hangs out with Gates and that kind of thing. And that's all they talk about is how much things cost them and how much their schoolings cost and how much. And it's but guess what? It was the egos. They don't talk about God because they serve money. But now God's going to twist it all because they all took the vaccination, pretty much. He's going to twist it all and make the tail the head. Do you remember what the Corona Keter lamb was? Your favorite. He was the one that loved you the most. Get that. Why was he after Ephraim, you think? That beautiful black lamb. I'll never forget his face. I'll never forget his eyes, too. The peace he had in him. He was all black except for the white tip of that head and tail. Mm-hmm. You loved him. He loved you. He was totally respectful with me and loving with me. And he loved Dimitri the most. But he was after Dimitri. And every time Dimitri would come by, his tail would start wagging, and he loved Dimitri. But they had a relationship like siblings that they would fight. And he would challenge him. Remember, he would go up and he'd get you from behind, and then he'd get you from the front too. Mm-hmm. He was trying to get you. He never did that to me, did he? Mm. Why do you think he was doing that to you as a symbol of Ephraim that you are? Why do you think he was doing that?
I don't know. Because I was playing rough with him.
Well, that was your love language together. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But why do you think, if you were Ephraim, why do you think he would be trying to get your attention like that? Come and ram you from behind, then finally from the front. If you really don't, that doesn't wake you up. It's an image of God waking up the bride. He's trying to wake him up, and that's why he told me when I prayed about that lamb. I said, "Why? Name Keter. Corona happened that year. Why do we have a black lamb this year?" And he says, "And the white tip of the head and tail." And he said, "Because I'm going to make the head the tail and the tail the head." So now all the meek that had been the disabled, the peculiar stones that God created in this world, the castaway stones, the ones that love him, are becoming a temple for him. And they're going to overcome all the wealthy. Because we have spiritual power now with our God. So anytime they try to harm us. So he's telling me, and I've got to get the people with the gifts of where we can get this, some kind of Israeli passport, some kind of corporation of Israel, that we are people that follow him or sovereign under him. And I know those people have gifts to do this stuff. Mm-hmm. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the father's trying to wake up the bride to marry his son so that we'll be one. Mm-hmm. And the father is the father in the prodigal son story. The son that stayed is Yehuda. And Yehuda's jealous of Ephraim going out and then coming back home and almost being restored, even though Ephraim was willing to come home as a servant. But yet being restored. So, and given a coat of many colors, which is our light coat, symbolizing the Holy Spirit, the Shekinah, and a wedding ring to marry his son. But the son didn't want the bride, which is an image of the Jew right now. Not knowing that who we are in him. How he came to bring the lost sheep home. And it's literally a fulfillment of prophecy. Mm-hmm. In Israel every year. They want them gone. Now they'll see what happens when they don't come. The Shekinah goes in exile with their people. And that's who we are. We're the lost tribes. And he's waking us up. He's waking up the Levites first, he told me years ago. When he told me I was a Cohen. So he says, I'll wake him up. And it's by the power of the order of Melchizedek. It's the spirit of Mashiach in us. And we get to live with him. And he takes us to the Father to eat. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do this stuff? How do we do this will, get our will in alignment?
By listening to what he wants.
Yeah, I would say so. When it comes time to it, let's just see. There's a very wealthy father that had a couple sons. One son wanted to go waste his money on whores and good pleasures and things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And made bad business decisions, and there was a famine in the land. And he realized how poor he was, and that he would rather go and be a servant in his father's kingdom. They are treated at least better than he's being treated now. And how he's eating, he's like, I can go back with my head down. You know what I mean? But the father looked at him and restored him, like forgot the whole thing, and that made the brothers jealous. And that's what we're supposed to do, is provoke him to jealousy. But we're going to learn about the Father through the Jews, and the Jews are going to learn about the Messiah through us, by the Spirit. And it's a marriage made in heaven. It's beautiful. They go together like hand in glove. It's beautiful. And anyway, this is what's coming, is the marriage between the two. But the marriage is that the sons do the Father's will. Anything. Do what which is ultimately his will. If the Father is not under his will, then that's the Father's will, then obviously you'll be serving, but at least that's a kingdom to be. It's supposed to be that way, it always was. All the tribal things, it's a kingdom coming. It's not, the world made it all about money. And about how much money you have is how much worth you have in the kingdom. Well, that's this earthly kingdom, and that's how God used it all to build it. He used the enemy to build it all. But they're going to die away and give it to his bride, Esther, the hidden Hebrews.
Mm-hmm.
Because Vashti didn't want to fight. She didn't want to do the Father's will or the king's will. So it's either our will or his will. That's the thing. Yeshua said, I will that you be one with the Father like I am one with the Father. Meaning, and he says, I only do what I see the Father doing. We can learn by them. You know what I mean? And see where we can be a help to the Father at all times. And build this kingdom. That's his. Because the kingdom of the earth is falling. Oh, God. The kingdom of the earth is falling. And the only kingdom that's going to survive is his. And they're not going to trust in any government but his, which is us. Is that making sense?
Mm-hmm.
How the power is flipping from the head to the toe, the head to the tail and the tail to the head. The outcasts, the ones that didn't fit in, they're just weird, honey. You know what I mean? Are now going to be the rulers of the earth because they're the meek. They didn't want anything. They weren't. The other people are just trying to be better at what other people are doing in the box that they made us to live in. And that just makes them fit into a box perfectly. And then they could build their temple. They could build it as high as they want. As long as the people keep listening to what box they want them to go into. Right? I don't belong to a box. There's many dimensions to my Creator. And he lives in me. You know what I mean? And that's the whole idea. And I'm supposed to share my gift of my light to expose the gifts in other people so that they can do what they're supposed to do for the kingdom. And you have a very special gift of prophetic drawing. And I want to see you pick it up again. Let somebody else is taking your gift to use it. You know what I mean? But it's all for the kingdom. Don't you want to help our family survive these days? You can't be in the mindset that you're going to go through this thing. Just like school. What was everybody doing? They're like, I'm going to get a job with the airline right away. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Right? There were people thinking about that stuff? You?
Kind of, yeah.
What was your dad telling you back then? Anyway.
Clarify?
No, I'm just trying to say, don't expect everything to be normal. Because it's not going to be. We're part of the people setting the things in motion, is what I'm trying to say. The land was at our house. I made the sacrifice in 2019. That brought judgments to the world and locked everybody up and took everybody to their rooms. He told me to make the sacrifice. I thought, anyway, when he told me who I was, I said no. But now I say I do. You want to know why? Because I'd rather do his will than mine. I don't care what a fool I look like to all of you. I really don't care anymore. I live with my king inside. I'm sovereign under him. It actually blesses me when you say bad things about me. Because then spiritually, and I'll just share with you right now, everybody that speaks evil about me and judges me unrighteously, may they be judged righteously by the righteous God. And if they are judged me unrighteously, may they be under my feet in authority. May they never be above me in authority if they misjudged me. And so I just say that in a blanket statement. And then anybody that does, you see, everybody's just quick to judge. And just so you know how it works, everybody that does, I get their crowns automatically. And I feel them coming in. It's very strange. But he gives me more and more gifts this way. So I just want you to know how this kingdom is coming. And I'm trying to share with you what it is for the bride to wake up. And what she looks like too. And she ain't Baptist, I tell you. Or Islam. Or Jewish. Or any of it. The Messiah is the spirit of love. The same one that entered all the lambs that died for you out in Egypt, Yehuda and the Hebrews, is the same one that will be dying in the future and always dies, and it's the same one that takes the sin for us. Because the whole idea was to give us a law, was to see what we would do. And the only one, just so you know who the Jew is, and out of all the nations that God went to with the laws and said, if you do this, you'll show that you love me, and nobody wanted them. Except for the kingdom of the Hebrews. And they accepted the laws. And so it was a blessing. And it was all Messiah in hiding. Everything is about the Messiah in there. It drives me, it literally will drive you bananas. And I can't wait to see it. I know it's already happening, but it's so closeted that because the Jews are so scared that other Jews, they'll find out that other rabbis believe in Yeshua. They would never talk about it. And that's the thing. I noticed that when I went to Jerusalem in 2014, I think, when I visited the yeshiva, the Rabbi Kaduri's yeshiva, that he saw Yeshua as being the Messiah, Yehoshua as being the Messiah. So, anyway, I see it all coming. The whole thing is just, may you be who he created you to be. Nothing more, nothing less. Just your gift, and you give it out of love. For in that state of love, we will all be sharing with each other. And we'll see that he separated the peoples, he separated the languages, he separated the religions. He did all these things to create something. Friction creates things. If we were all one, we would have done the wrong thing back then. He had to separate us lest we become immortal, and all of heaven is like, anyway, full of people that don't deserve it. So now he's only giving it to those that deserve it. And I'm giving you, because of a prophetess that talked to you many years ago, I'm giving you what I know, and I'm recording it because she told me 2 years ago that I was going to be helping many people. And I know. And that's what I'm doing here, and the way I'm doing it too. So, praise God. This is what we're supposed to do. Is bless each other out of love. Just out of love. You don't have to, if you don't give to somebody out of love, it's not worth it. And if the other person is more of a, anyway, I guess that's it. I'm getting tired. Anything else you want to say? What else did you learn today? Anything?
There was a lot, but most of it comes down to just changing the way you come to things.
Yeah. And we truly can't serve our pleasures because they'll never be fulfilled. The only thing that fills that's when the spirit came in.
The whole point of pleasure is supposed to be to draw you to do something, and then to have the fall so that you keep striving for that thing that gives you pleasure.
Right.
Nowadays, you can get pleasure so easily and so efficiently. Yeah. That bar of
that dopamine
of getting that pleasure and satisfaction just keeps getting raised, and you end up just not doing anything because something so easy can produce such a good dopamine response, and it just causes you to not feel drive to do anything because you're already getting that dopamine already, and you're not having to strive for it.
I totally get it. But that's why the whole idea is, instead of serving your kingdom of pleasure, we serve the upper kingdom, which is from here up, is the spirit realm. And we make an offering to the king, the lower things. Mm-hmm. And then what happens is he literally fills your heart, because that's what it was supposed to do. And literally, his whole presence, you feel it when it comes in, right? His whole presence just changes. And the presence is there and fills your heart with light, And it's, they're endorphins. There's no drug. And that's why our bodies have systems to enjoy these kind of pleasures. That drugs, but our own body produces these drugs. You know what I mean?
In small amounts, and then drugs are basically hijacking that to an extreme level.
And that's where it comes into we can be going into sorcery, because now we're like witchcrafting things. And it's hard because I have to use certain things now to do work, and I can, like, am I abusing it this way? Am I doing more harm than good? But look, I'm fulfilling what I know your mom wants. You know what I mean? And I do too. This place, it was a dream, and now God made it come true. It's just really hard to do this work when you're disabled, and both of us, right? We don't look it, but there's problems, lots of them. So anyway, praise God, little by little we're getting something done, and now we can we're learning how to be one. But do you see that when the student is ready, the teacher is there? You know what I mean? You got exactly what you needed to hear today, didn't you? And it was all planned by Abba, and me. And I'm saying he's used me, but he planned it all, right? So listen and do is all I'm trying to say. And if we listen to him and do his will instead of our own way, that's when it comes. That's when he comes to live in you. He's like, this person loves me. I want to live in there. This person loves me. It's a house for me. What do you think? Who's he going to bless? The son that takes inheritance and blows it on pleasures of the world, and or the one that stays home and takes care of the father's business, which was Yehuda. That's why it's the apple of his eye. You know what I mean? But they had always, anyway, it's the beautiful thing is the marriage has already begun, and it's happening. Anyway, God's good, and he blesses and curses, and he does these things by his light. And unfortunately, when this happens, We lose family members. We lose all kinds of friends and all kinds of things because his light is bright, and they don't want to hear. They don't want to shine on them, and that you know something that they don't want you to know about them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're light, it exposes in their darkness, and you see right through it, and they don't like it, so they run like cockroaches, or they get aggravated. Those that have the bright light live in that place of love and that frequency. They'll find each other wherever they go, and you notice, you see, wherever I go, I get blessed, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Usually, but and if it's not, it's me something of a low vibration. I'm in the flesh at that moment. And then what I have to do is get to that place, and then it all changes. It changes the whole timeline of everything. That's what I'm trying to tell you and teach you. You could change the timeline of every bad experience that you have. And you've always said you learn by them, and you do. But at the same time, you can learn by mine too. And not have to go through them like Daddy did. You know what I mean? That's why I try to help you like I did. And I'm still learning. I'm trying to be the father that I've always wanted. I'm like looking at my younger self, let's say. Does that make sense? It's like looking back in time. Look at my younger self and like, I wish I heard this. You know? I've been trying to do that your whole life. And I'm proud of you. But I want you to be the gift so that you have that drive, so you are able to give a gift and feel proud of yourself that you're being who God created you to be. Not to be a Babylonian bee. I didn't raise you for that. I fought a lot, long and hard, to give you the right to be raised the way I raised you. You know, some things might have been mistakes, but like you said, we learn by them, don't we? Maybe you do things differently. You know what I mean? If you do it, you'll be more stern and setting rules and stuff. I don't know what you would do, but we each try to better what the other did, what the father did. Each generation tries to better it. And I was trying to be the best father possible for you. And actually, be careful what you pray for, because I prayed like a couple months or a month. Wow, I prayed that when I have a family, because I was falling in love with your mom, and when I have a family, that I'm not a workaholic and in restaurant business, because I didn't know my dad. My parents were always at work. They worked like 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. Always. And I grew up having to work since 10 years old. I was on the bucket washing dishes, which were good things to learn. Even though I had the disease my whole life. Born with it. But you learn to just deal with it. Then you move on. Where was I going with that?
Your past experience.
Yeah.
And becoming what your parents lacked.
Well, that's where you're always trying to better things, but that's the growth of everything. But it goes in succession, in generation to generation. You know what I mean? I don't want you to be like Babylon. At all. You see what it's like, don't you, out there? What do you think of it?
Kind of depends.
You like it?
Some aspect.
Okay, what aspect do you like? Oh, the organizational stuff? Oh yeah, I do too. Trust me. When you're living in unorganized, but you think, oh, but I want to be free, and then at the same time you're kind of like, but I'm unorganized but free. You know what I mean? I'm glad that I'm in America. It's very organized, and
I don't think
you get work done easily there. When here it can be there, but then you can have experiences that is totally the opposite.
Yeah. As people like to, now my generation nowadays like to get mad at like social standards and everything. And it's like, what would you do if there wasn't a standard for how you should be, generally speaking? Like,
like they're getting mad police.
There's no police. There's gonna be.
But the problem is, I don't want arrogant police.
Yeah.
I want police that are they're meant to be peacekeepers. That's what they're there for. Is peace. They're supposed to bring shalom to you, not like, oh, I've got an attitude. I have something over you. I'm more powerful than you. Well, that's what I get to do. I can just say, no, you're not actually. In the spirit realm, you're beneath me. So may you go there where you belong to. Thank you, because shame on you for trying to judge me for being not like you or just wanting to have power over me. So I get to do those things. That's what I do. I met one yesterday. And that's why I'm ashamed of what I did last night. I was driving home, and the motorcycle flashed off the lights a couple times right behind me, and was like tailing me. And then I'm slowing down. He's slowing down, not passing me. I'm like, oh great, I'm being, And I literally threw my vape pen out of the car. And I go, why did I just do that? As soon as I did it, and the guy comes around, I was a kid, and his motorcycle was breaking down, or his motorcycle, he was having problems. But the good thing is, it was all part of a plan, because God wanted me to meet this kid and talk to him, and you know what I mean. And it's all part of God's plan. But at the same time, I learned a lesson. It's like, what are you afraid of? And it turns out it's legal anyway. Somebody came to this way from the Peritero. It's legal in the. Oh my gosh.
But growing your own flower is not, apparently, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's whack.
I can't grow it anyway. It's not my gift. But somebody should be able to grow it for me. It's my medicine. And shame on anybody, curse be anyone that says I can't have it. Any law that goes against me having my medicine, wherever I go, no matter what I do, it's God's creation. It was given to me. And it gives me, and it's actually for the Cohen priest. It's part of Aaron's anointing oil. But because I was so afraid at the beginning, I was afraid to give you CBD as a kid. You get that? That's how trained in the world I was. Now I curse.
Well, what do you think CBD was?
Well, because I thought because there's a minute amount of THC in there, and I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to test my kids and take my kids away. Because there's going to get it. I literally got you licensed because I was afraid of the CBD leaking some THC. I don't know why. The world treats you and trains you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would happen, but
it would happen. But now I get to curse those people. Anybody that's done such a thing, may they be cursed too. And thank you, Father, that you give their crown to the people they harmed. Thank you for the judgment has come. Hallelujah. I love you, I do. Oh, wow. See, I'm meant to do this. It's my gift. That's why I feel what I do. I thought it was evil at first, but no. It's His pleasure to now bring judgments on this earth because they don't listen. And it's all about power and their own will. See, listening to Satan is listening to your own will. We all have it. But what did he tell me I had to do? Remember what he told me once?
Which time?
When he told me I have to make Satan my bitch.
Mm-hmm.
It freaked me out. I was like, he's not bothering me now. Why are you even bringing him up? At least leave him out of this. What's going on here? Why? And he was like laughing at me, and then he was showing me Bella, how she obeys. She was praying when I tell her to. And she's a female dog. And it was about taming your serpent, let's say, taming your kundalini, let's say. Mm-hmm. It's about taming your own energy, taming your own will, and doing His instead of your own. All these things I was doing, going Israel most of the times, I wasn't doing it for me. Even though everybody looked at me and treated me like I was, not everybody, but a lot of people, they judge, of course. But that's what I was supposed to do. They don't even know. For years I was going there judging all of you. I was judging the Jew. Who was a true Jew and who wasn't? I tell you what, there's a lot of Cohens out there that aren't true Cohens, and they're going to go bye-bye now. And there's some really good ones, and some that are hidden too, that God's going to bring in, grafting in too, if He has to. They've been lost, but their DNA is there. But how much better is one that is a Jew that finds the Messiah too? Mm-hmm. So, anyway, God's will be done, not ours. That's the point of the story. Is we have to learn how to do His will before our own. It's a test. Living in the Father's house is the Father's will. It's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to serve me as I'm the Messiah. And you have before, I know that, but do you think generally you have been? Even went to school when I was legally supposed to be teaching you? But you know why? I let you get away with a lot of things? Because it's only from that finding, if realizing that all your desires, that everything you try in life to fill that void in your heart, doesn't work. It doesn't work. Money, sex, pleasure, whatever it is, nothing works to fill that void. Do you know that yet? And what fills it?
Him.
His presence. That's where you have the oil. So you could be one of those brides that have enough oil that are going to make it because they have enough love in them to actually change the atmosphere. Do you feel when he comes in? Did you just feel it now? Do you see it using my eye? Okay. Mm-hmm. So that changes the atmosphere here too, doesn't it? You feel it? So the atmosphere has changed here. And that's part of the rapture they're talking about. We can go ascend into a whole different dimension than everybody else, but we're still here in our flesh sense, but it takes it all into a different timeline, a different time and space. You know what I mean? So that's the having enough oil. It's having enough of Him in us, which is love. You'll know them by their love. I don't care what religion they are. The Messiah is love. And you'll see Him hidden everywhere. Everywhere I look, I find Him. You know, actually, Eliyahu is supposed to be correcting all the religions, right? And they all judge me for evil for talking other religion stuff. Because they just don't understand. God separated everything so that He could put it back together again at the end, with each having a gift to bring. Mm-hmm. 7 continents, each has a gift, like one of the spirits of God to bring to the temple. And that's where He separated us, kicked us out even, to bring us all back together at the end, to build this temple again. But being the gift that we are inside. So I'm glad I wasn't born a Jew, because now I can do what He tells me to. Even though I have Hebrew blood, by them I don't fit in. But it's supposed to be that way. It was all God's separation on purpose. Anyway, we'll talk later. I'm dizzy too. I made myself. Shalom, shalom. Everybody hearing this message.